Hello, fermented folks.
We have 𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦
𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦.
We have Travis 𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gauff.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show gave me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Hello, fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction. Matt Ruff is clearly thrilled to be here, and we are thrilled to have him. This is the show where we argue and debate and discuss the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm with our distinguished guests. Said guest tonight is Matt Ruff, author of Lovecraft Country and many, many other novels that haven't been made into hit Netflix series. But we're super stoked to have you on the show, Matt. I had the pleasure of meeting Matt at Crypticon Seattle a couple years ago, and we've worked together a couple times since. So, Matt, thank you so much for being on the show. We're stoked to have you.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. I hope you're jacked up as much as we are, or maybe jacked in to argue and debate the Matrix tonight. That is our topic.
I'm full of coffee, so yes.
You're going to need that. You're going to need that. I'm not sure if that's the red pill or the blue pill, but we're going to find out. Either way, here we are. We're the usual stooges, Jeremy, Travis, and Clay, and we're going to start the show the way we start every show, with a round of personal updates from your usual hosts, and then we'll end with our guest, Matt Ruff, so he can tell you a little bit about who he is, what he's got coming out recently, and where you can find all that good stuff, where he might be appearing, things like that. Jeremy, we'll start with you. What's going on, buddy?
Well, this is kind of a the continuing saga of like me and how I fucked up my leg, but I have set a new personal record this week because this week I have 6 different medical appointments and I've had 3 of them so far. So,
attaboy.
Yeah, we're cruising right through them.
Yeah,
and on Thursday I've got 3. So
far, what has been the worst medical appointment you've had to endure?
So far, I think it would have to be the appointment where I went in for my follow-up, and the doctor asked, "Hey, so what's it like? How has it been walking on this?" And I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, I can't walk on this." He's like, "What?" Because your brake is really boring. You should be able to walk on it by now. And then they took X-rays and found out I tore a ligament also. So, yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Well,
and then
fun.
surgery and more surgery and physical therapy and now my wound vac also. So
the wound vac. That thing's crazy, dude. If you don't know about Jeremy's wound vac, just go back an episode and he tells you all about it. But yeah, it's basically a little vacuum.
Know about this?
I didn't
know.
Matt, not before.
I don't know.
But now I do. Now I do know. I still don't want to have known.
Science-y magic is what it is.
It's like a little vacuum that he's wearing on his chest right now, like a satchel, and it's sucking pus and shit out of his leg.
It's mostly like blood and whatever.
It's like a little mini version of one of the Matrix robots. Just
I'm writing down
Jeremy all day.
Why not?
I'm writing down horror novel idea for the future is wound vac becomes sentient.
Sentient wound vac. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I think the wound vac would just, if it gained sentience, it would just be depressed.
Yeah.
It would
like,
be.
Oh, buddy.
I'm trying to remember what show that was in. I think that was I think it actually might have been one of Family Guy's few and far between decent jokes, but it was like the toilet from the Flintstones, and he was just like, "Is this all there is?" kind of thing. But it was funny. That would essentially be the wound vac's life. Travis, what's your life look like right now? Hopefully better than that.
If you can bear with me to hear some of my Catholic stuff for a second, I'm very excited about. We took a field trip with our Catholic students, our Catholic school students today to our cathedral in our diocese, really, really beautiful old church, and got to see a really cool mass for anyone who's into any kind of like spiritual ceremonies that are really cool and ancient. It's called the Chrism Mass. It's the mass where every priest from the diocese comes to the cathedral, and the bishop is there, and he blesses the priests, and he blesses the oil that will be used for anointing in Easter. So that was like, it was like hopping in a time machine in some ways. Like, besides the microphones attached to the lapels and like some of the tech around the organ, like all of the things they did has been the same since, 400 AD, which is just really cool to sit there and witness that. So yeah, that was the exciting part of my life today. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna switch back there. Right on.
Good.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's always cool when you get to see that historical stuff and actually see those moments happening. Kind of a thing that will echo forward in time, and you get to be part of it in the present. That's a pretty cool experience whenever that does happen. Yeah, I don't necessarily have any experiences quite like that, but that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, and for my personal updates, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot going on. I've just been working like crazy. I've been working on like 3 different conventions. It's convention season. One thing that happened. So all of you probably know what it's like to have your wife send you this text message. The text message that says, "I'm coming home with plants." I got this text message to a legendary degree the other day. My wife sent me the message, and then she sent a picture of her, and let me see if I can just I don't really want to show a picture of her without her consent, but she drives a Toyota Corolla Cross, so it's like a miniature SUV, like a Ford Escape or something, Toyota's version of a Ford Escape. It's decent sized little car. She sends me a picture of her in the driver's seat, and it is like bursting with plants behind her. And I'm like, okay, that is a lot of plants. It was. She came home with like 8 bamboo plants, which is awesome. We both love bamboo. We've been talking about it for a while. There's a lot of stuff you have to do to manage it, but if you can manage it, it pretty much grows forever. It grows really tall, and it makes a really cool like privacy hedge and stuff. So she's setting up her home office to reopen her private practice, and instead of putting up like a fence or something, she wants to do a plant hedge type fence. Nice. And so we're doing like bamboo mixed with some other cool plants. So I have like $800 of bamboo in my backyard right now, sitting in pots until we plant it. And then we have to do all kinds of crazy like trenching and wood chips and things, because bamboo is crazy and it will totally take over your shit if you don't manage it. But if you do manage it, then it'll be fine. But I guess what we learned about it essentially is it is a highly prolific but also highly lazy plant. So it's kind of like the plant version of Jeremy, where like like it'll do all kinds of shit if you let it, and if you just set it free in its ideal environment. But if you put it on I
am the bamboo of people, yes.
Absolutely. If you put it on like a slight hill, it'll just be like, I don't need to grow any more than this. And that's how you manage bamboo. You just put like a little bit of obstruction around it where you don't want it to grow, and it's just like, nah, I'll grow over there instead. I'll grow right here.
The house my wife and I rented before the one we're living in now had bamboo growing in front, and one morning I wake up and I look out, and a guy has pulled up in a car and is digging in the bamboo patch, and I go down and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just taking some bamboo. And I'm like, no, you're not. This is our house. And he's like, oh, this is yours? And he starts doing this thing like, most people wouldn't mind if I took some, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what most people
That's
think.
fine.
So,
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
it's that kind of town, though. Sometimes,
That's true. Yeah, the guy who sold it to us told us that in like 5 to 6 years, we'll probably be able to have our own bamboo business if we want, with the amount we bought, because it just grows that crazily. And you can pretty much like transplant it very easily, because you just take the new rhizomes and like throw them in a pot, and it's a grass, and it grows like a grass. It'll just like give it 3 years from that point, and you've got like a 10-foot bamboo plant for whoever else wants it. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Either way, it's going to be growing, and we're going to have bamboo all over the fucking place, and it's going to be sweet. And hopefully our neighbors don't like file to get us evicted from the lot, because we've infected the entire community with bamboo. We'll see. Matt Ruff.
Maybe do it though.
So, yes. So I am Matt Ruff. I'm most famously the author of Lovecraft Country, which was made into the HBO series of the same name. There's also a sequel now, The Destroyer of Worlds. And I also wrote Bad Monkeys, which is currently under development by Margot Robbie. That's my Philip K. Dick novel. And another book I'm well known for is Set This House in Order, which is a story about two people with multiple personality disorder. And I am currently working on a new novel, which I am describing as a science fiction murder mystery about AI and bad parenting. So, so anyway, that's what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
And tonight, I guess I'm arguing about the Matrix.
I love
Yes,
that
you
combo of terrifying subjects, AI and bad parenting.
AI is mostly bad parenting.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's doing an AI novel now, so I know I'm in competition, so I've got to have something to distinguish it. And it's going to be one of those books where it's as much about the characters as about the ideas. And so hopefully I can distinguish myself from the pack of other things about the subject.
Yeah. It's definitely a crowded room, but I have nothing but faith that you'll find a way to stand out in that room, sir. You have made a career of doing that.
That's assuming the whole book thing still lasts.
Books are real, Who knows?
Yeah, that's also a fair point. They're real for now. So let's go ahead and keep talking about them and other good such stories that create the modern lexicon of genre fiction, literature, and film. We're going to focus through the lens of The Matrix today, a classic American film by the Wachowskis. And if you haven't seen The Matrix, or you don't happen to know what it is already, I don't know what program exactly. I don't know what program you've been plugged into, but I guess not The Matrix. The premise of The Matrix is essentially our main character is unplugged from a globally spanning virtual reality program. Essentially, it goes beyond virtual reality, but it's augmented reality that humans have been living in for a long time. He gets unplugged by a group of rebels who are kind of on the outside of this augmented reality program, and taught how to fight against it to try to free humanity as a whole. That's kind of where the first movie begins, and then there's of course a whole trilogy that happens after that, but we're focusing on the first movie today.
A 4-movie trilogy.
Yeah, 4-movie trilogy. I don't know what you call that. It's a saga.
Well, Douglas Adams calls it a trilogy, so
yeah, right. And if it's good enough for Douglas, it's good enough for us on this show. That's for sure. Today, representing in this debate the genre fiction realm is Matt Ruff, our distinguished guest. He will be rolling a dice, as will Travis Vermolum, the representative for the Fermented Fiction Corner today. Gentlemen, are you both ready to roll your dice?
Yes,
I am.
Rolled a 4.
Nice.
All right, I'm rolling.
excellent.
I rolled a 1.
Oh!
Hey!
So what does that mean?
That means, Matt, that you will be going first, and you will be defending The Matrix. So surely this is your favorite movie of all time, and now you get to express that opinion for 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. This is the easy side of it, because basically it's such an iconic movie that you almost don't have to defend it. It's almost impossible to argue against because it left such a huge cultural footprint where even if you hate the movie, it's kind of still there. It's going to outlive us all.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let's start that timer.
This is my argument. You've started the timer already.
Okay, start the timer, Jeremy.
Matt is already going. Already. He even said so.
Oh, Matt.
Yeah. Get in there and do it.
No, but that is sort of the beginning of my argument, is that basically there's really no argument to be had that it is one of those movies where it just had such a huge impact on the culture. Even if it doesn't work for you personally, you just kind of got to hand it to it. It had so many catchphrases that, got into the lexicon, like red pilled, things like that. And as I discovered, going back and watching it, and it still holds up. It's just a really fun movie to watch. Now, it's not always true of iconic movies. There's some you go back and you watch them and you're like, I understand why this was important, but it's just not working for me. And beyond what the good things I could say about the movie itself, I think that the best thing for me is that its success it gave the Wachowskis this incredible freedom. Hollywood was basically lining up to give them blank checks after, not just to make Matrix sequels, but to make other big, weird, self-indulgent movies that probably nobody else could have gotten away with making. And they were allowed to keep doing that even after they had lost a ton of money on stuff. So it's because of the Matrix that we have things like Cloud Atlas and Sense8, and I have criticisms I could make about a lot of their later output, but they're the kind of filmmakers who create what I think of as sort of interesting failures. Like even when they're at their worst, I generally find something in it that I can grapple with and enjoy and talk about and like. And all of that is possible because of the Matrix being what it was. So that would be my basic defense of the Matrix. I can go on about more specifics if you want, but I think that's my case for it. So
all right, I think you'll have time for specifics, but I'm going to take my little time here and say that's all well and good. We have talked on the show about iconic films that like live in the what would you call it, lexicon, I guess, of collected films that everyone agrees like that's good. But I think sometimes when you revisit those, you notice like maybe it's good because it was first, but that doesn't mean it's still good. And I think The Matrix is a case of that. The visual effects don't look great compared to a lot of standards we have, not even just today, but like early 2000s, like pretty soon after The Matrix happened, there were movies that completely upended the visual effects world and made it look kind of cheesy and corny with the wire fighting. And the weird the slow-mo gun scene was cool in concept, but it just doesn't play as well as it did today. But we'll talk about that later, the visual effects probably. I think my biggest problem with this film is going to sound real snooty. I've been a philosophy enthusiast my entire life and have a minor in it and have continued to teach it now in high school. And I would just like to say this movie is not nearly as intelligent as it thinks it is. And everybody uses it as this like touchstone of like, oh, the Matrix is so smart. Like, what if we all lived in a simulation? I was like, you and every philosophy undergrad and freshman year in the entirety of the United States all say the same phrase. What if we lived in a simulation? You know who said it before all of you? Plato. This is an old concept, and it's just given this new corny 2000s skin, painted green. Keanu Reeves is plastered on the front of it, and all of a sudden it's like cool and hip again to be a Platonist. Like, I don't understand why this movie gets lifted up as if it's this genius philosophical treatise. I even was reading through a lot of the trivia for preparation for today, and like they had studio was like, oh, people won't understand it, and the actors had to read like all these science fiction novels before. It's not that complex. Like, it's people are being used as batteries. They unplugged from the system and realized that the world is actually this hellscape of technology ruling over us. The Terminator did it. Minority Report did a deeper theme with metaphysics and used a Philip K. Dick novel. Like, there's movies that are much more intelligent in this movie that do not get the credit they deserve because everyone's so fixated on how the Matrix is so smart and cool and yeah, I think it's got its head up its own ass, and that bothers me.
My two responses to that. One, if I were taking the negative side, I would have made a very similar point to what you just said, and I'm going to later when we have the real discussion. But one thing I will say in favor of that is that is an example of what I mean when I talk about an interesting failure. That yes, I can argue about a lot of the stuff they do too, but it's engaging. Even when it's annoying to me, when I get annoyed by it, it's not boring. It makes me think of stuff. And the movie may not be smart, but it doesn't mean smart people can't have a lot of fun wrangling with it. And then on the subject of the special effects being somewhat dated, that's definitely true. But I think for me, it also shows how special effects are less important ultimately than characters you like and really well told story. It's very tight. It's, it doesn't waste it. It's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. So it's a long movie, but it's very well edited and keeps moving. And it doesn't drag a whole lot. And the characters are likable and, so yes, for me, the special effects, it's like, I'd rather have special effects that look a bit dated, but have a story I can still connect to and have fun watching than, have great special effects that hold up and a drecky story or characters I don't care about. So for me, it checks those boxes.
I think you talked about how this put the Wachowskis on the map and kind of gave them blank checks forever. This put another person on the map and gave him a blank check forever. And I don't know if that was a net good, and I've been a defender of this actor in many debates, especially around the John Wick series, but is Keanu Reeves really that great? And is Neo actually that lovable of a character? I'm not convinced. He's kind of supposed to be this self-insert like RPG, the everyday man, and he becomes the hero, and we can put ourselves in kind of that lens of like, oh yeah, the boring office worker, and all of a sudden we're pulled out of this world, red pill into what actual reality is. And we're sitting in on this like blank slate that is Keanu Reeves, but he's given that performance so many times since then that I go back and rewatch and I'm like, I don't know if this actually served the story as good as it did, or if it just, again, if the sheen of the newness of this movie was so attractive that it became iconic, and now years down the line that sheen is gone. And we try and watch it now, and it actually is like, oh, this is a rusty old tool that actually wasn't as nice as we thought it was.
I mean, that's strictly a judgment call, but for me, it still works as well as it ever did. And I agree that the protagonist in the movie like this is often the least interesting in some ways, because he is meant definitely to be an identification character. Like, he's a decent guy who makes the right choice. He's willing to risk his life to save his friends at the end. Mm-hmm. But the character actors, like Cypher is really my favorite, I think. And of the group, he's one of the more relatable characters, even though he's kind of the bad guy. And then you've got, the over the top Agent Smith. But yes, I think Neo is probably, he shines in some ways less than the others. He's there to be sort of the guy you can imagine yourself in that role, or he's the stand-in for you. And then you've got the kick-ass girlfriend, and then you've got the mentor and Lawrence Fishburne and all the other supporting cast. But it was funny when I was watching today. I did have a moment when I was like, when he was going, whoa, when I'm like, yeah, that's the face from the other movies you've made.
Yeah, that's the Keanu Reeves face. We've seen it before, and I can see that. Like, you're right that in a lot of these kinds of stories, it's okay that the protagonist is more boring, and because we're supposed to see the outside. And trust me, even though I'm arguing the negative, I will never sit here and say a bad word against Hugo Weaving, because that man. Yeah, he did excellent. But and also do think. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, the fight sequences, in order to work, those guys really had to work hard. I mean, I think that's probably the most impressive achievement from him in that film. Is the physicality is believable and it works. Like you really believe they're doing the fighting that they're doing, and that's the thing that is most impressive, and you can't fake that. He really worked his ass off to pull that off. Yeah, that's kind of what carries through into John Wick, where that's what you hire Keanu Reeves for is his ability to just deliver that kind of action seamlessly. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. This is a nitpick, definitely a personal nitpick for me, but like the style of like John Wick action scenes, I think has this brutal realism. It's rooted in judo. I'm a huge combat sports fan, and judo is like a really, really a hard-nosed kind of like Muay Thai, judo, American wrestling, boxing are all seen as these like very, very involved, physical, aggressive styles. And those I think are more realistic and kind of gritty to watch. And I think it worked in John Wick. I don't love rewatching it now, having this years of experience behind my back of like The Matrix. This is why it's a nitpick. It was an early 2000s like stylistic thing that everyone loved, the like wire fighting, heavily choreographed kung fu. And I just think it doesn't play as well now that we've seen the more gritty, realistic styles of combat happen on screen more often. That doesn't look as good as it used to because we can tell it's more fake. But
shut up, Travis. You're gonna have to hold it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's time. We're gonna take a breath. We're gonna cool off. The drink of the week.
Yeah, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down.
Good debate, Matt. Good debate.
Great debate.
Thank you.
Well done. All right. This is our Drink of the Week segment brought to you by nobody. But if you want to be that somebody, beer companies, wine companies, whiskey companies, fucking hit us up. This one's for free for everybody we're about to drink on camera. Me,
bottled water companies.
Yeah, hey, Dasani, the fuck you doing? Like, you want some promotion? We'll drink fucking rain on here.
Evian,
let's go.
Fiji.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey,
you want a piece of this?
Come on now. We all got to hydrate. We know you're all going to be richer than ever when the AI industry takes all our fucking free water. So, yeah, you better get on it. Get on it while you can. Get ahead of the curve. The free promotion I'm going to be throwing out today is from Ecliptic Brewing down in Portland, Oregon, our friends in the Pacific Northwest. Big fan of Ecliptic. They always do really good beer. Today I got their triple IPA, the Hypernova, because I thought that was pretty fitting for today. Nice. I specifically love the tagline for this beer, which is pour some space in your face.
That's good.
Let's do it.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour space in my face right here on the show at 9.3% ABV. And we're going to have a good time with this triple IPA from our friends in Portland. Travis, still drinking fucking rain?
No, today I brought Athletic NA.
Oh, nice.
We're getting
That's
there.
great.
We're almost through Lent, and I'm feeling,
We're getting there, man.
Hey, almost there. I'm going to have an IPA.
Running wild like a post-pill Keanu Reeves. Let's go.
Or athletic like Keanu Reeves and Hugo Weaving in those fight scenes. Yeah.
Boom. So many references. So many transitions straight to
Doing
Jeremy.
so good.
What are you drinking, buddy?
So I, in honor of, trying to watch some of the greenest sequences ever committed to film,
Yes.
I decided to do an all lime Paloma.
Nice.
So, yeah, all lime,
like
as
code.
green as you can get it.
Looks like the code on the screen.
Yes, it does. That's
I'm
perfect.
drinking
It's
a
just
giant,
dropping right down.
I'm drinking a giant mug of Seattle tap water to dilute the pot of Folgers coffee I drank earlier. So
All right.
Perfect.
Nice. I love that mug too. That looks like a very festive mug.
Well, I have a giant rooster mug that I bought years ago that's actually smaller than this one, but the problem is I've had it for so long that the interior glazing is sort of worn off, and I began to worry that I was leaching lead into my body. So I decided I better get another giant mug instead, and this is what I found was a giant Christmas mug. So
Nice.
Fantastic.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, with that, we are into our fun facts segment, our fermented facts. Travis usually brings us 10 of these motherfuckers. But if everybody else wants to chuck one in there, there's a lot of facts about The Matrix, the directors of The Matrix, and all kinds of other things tied to that. Travis, you want to start us off with your 10? And then, Matt, Jeremy, if either of you want to throw in facts after Travis, feel free.
Yep, I'll probably miss some because there is a lot. But hey, I keep it to 10. We have a show to run here. The first one I
You
put
goddamn
is
right.
the studio insisted on a great deal of explanatory dialogue, which I mentioned in my debate, as they described the screenplay as the script that nobody understands. I'm going to hold my thoughts on that. At the director's request, the actors were able to understand and explain The Matrix, not only as a film, but a philosophy, which I really respect this. The Wachowskis made the actors read Simulacra and Simulation by 𝘔𝘓𝘦 𝘔𝘓𝘕 was required reading for most of the principal cast and crew. Keanu Reeves said before he even opened the script, he had to read those two books, as well as Out of Control by Kevin Kelly and Introducing Evolutionary Psychology by Dylan Evans. He was able to explain all the philosophical nuances involved. Carrie Ann Moss also commented that she had difficulty with this process. I respect any set of directors who's just like, you want to be in my movie, learn philosophy. Love that.
That would be what you would require that for sure.
I would. This is the only non-Best Picture nomination to win an Academy Award in all other categories it was nominated for. So Best Picture nominees have done it before, like Lord of the Rings swept all its nominations, but this is the only movie that swept every nominated category it was in, but didn't get nominated for Best Picture. So that's pretty interesting.
It's interesting. What won?
Do you?
Oh, I will look that up as
It's 99 or
99.
Look up 19. It might be 2000 Oscars. Look it up.
It came out in 99.
Yeah, sometimes they are the year. The Oscar date is the year after the year it releases, because they happen in February. They would happen in March. The Oscars ceremony does. Anyway, I'll shut up.
I had a question too, Travis. Just on that same note, but do you know if that's still true with Sinners? Did Sinners lose anything other than Best Picture?
Well,
I just know it won a bunch, and it was.
It would still be true because Sinners was actually nominated for Best Picture. So Matrix.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying though. Like they didn't win Best Picture, but did
they
win
didn't
everything
even get
else?
nominated
For Best Picture?
That's the fact.
Matrix didn't get nominated.
Matrix didn't even get nominated.
Oh, didn't get nominated.
It got nominated.
Okay.
It got nominated for 4 other awards and won all 4, but didn't get a Best Picture nod.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, Sinners definitely won. I think Sinners won 2 of its 4 nominations.
It won like 4 things.
No,
actually.
it was a lot.
It won Best Actor, it won Best Cinematography, Best Score, and I think one other thing.
I think it had like 12 nominations too. It was huge. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it didn't win Best Picture.
It did not, because that piece of trash did.
Clay has strong opinions about.
I hate One Battle After Another so much, dude. That movie sucks.
Will Smith.
I haven't seen it yet, but so many people hate it. I think I've got to now.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting any younger, brother. I don't know if you don't want to. That's 2 hours of your life you're not going to get back, but it's up to you.
I can waste 2 hours.
Yeah, Will Smith was approached to play Neo, but turned down the role. He has later he did like a fake TikTok and Instagram Reels like ad and where he is Neo. I think it even premiered on the Super Bowl. It was like a whole joke thing. But it's famous that he turned the role down for Wild Wild West.
That sounds crazy until you remember that Wild Wild West was directed by the same guys that did Men in Black.
Honestly, yeah. But that
was like a super not crazy thing for him to do that just absolutely didn't pay off.
Didn't Kevin Smith Didn't Kevin Smith make a joke at one point about how he nearly worked with the director or the producer of Wild Wild West, and the guy really wanted to have a giant spider in a movie?
He's just like giant spider. I think that was in there. Superman that Kevin Smith almost made that they reference in The Flash. Anyway,
Best Picture winner from '99. Just to clear that up, Shakespeare in Love.
Okay, can't be sad about losing to that.
It was also the same year as Saving Private Ryan, so didn't have a
Shakespeare in
chance.
Love beat Saving Private Ryan, man.
It did.
Look, that's a hard year. Okay, I'm gonna push through these a little more.
Go.
You can do
Will
it.
Smith says he doesn't regret the choice because Keanu was brilliant as Neo. There's more to this one fact. The studio wanted Val Kilmer for Morpheus. Glad that didn't happen. I
Glad that
Val
didn't
Kilmer,
happen.
but
Like
Lawrence
Val.
Fishburne was amazing.
Perfect Morpheus.
Sandra Bullock was offered the role of Trinity, but she turned it down because she heard that Will Smith was going to be in the role and they wanted to be in a movie with him. And
Nice.
then when
Oof.
Keanu Reeves got it, she was like, "Oh, I could have
Damn
worked with Keanu again," because they worked together for Speed and really liked each other.
That's funny.
It's funny.
I can't see her in that. I don't know.
No.
The physicality, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
That would be
fascinated
wild.
to see it, but yeah.
I'm with you. It would have been a different. I don't. That one's not as Val Kilmer as Morpheus. I can't see anyone but Lawrence Fishburne.
That would be crazy.
No, that'd be terrible. That would be a loss.
Yeah.
Laurie Ann was awesome as, or Carrie Ann. Sorry, Carrie Ann was awesome as Trinity.
Carrie
Yeah,
Ann.
no, she was. Yeah.
Really glad she was Trinity.
The helicopter was a full-scale, lightweight mock-up. Only the blades were added in post-production by the visual effects team. In the early stages of developing what was to become the famous bullet sequence, the visual effects supervisor John Gaeta and director of photography Bill Pope wanted to do it completely practical with like bunch of gimbals and dollies, but they couldn't quite get it to work, so they opted for computer graphics in post. However, the bullet time sequence does still use one very old-fashioned technique, photography, which the technique they used, the like kind of rotating still frame pictures, has now been mimicked to really great effect. I think whatever people think of the story of the movie, 28 years later used it in kind of like a single little suit, single person view, where they made like a little thing that did the same thing as the bullet thing and still framed in like a half circle. It was pretty cool. So that came from this technique that they.
And today you just ask Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, just ask for it. He'll do it.
Yep.
Grok will show you what it looks like for me to dodge bullets.
Yeah, exactly. William Gibbs. Go ahead.
I don't need to make the joke I was going to make. Carry on.
William Gibson's novel Neuromancer was an influence on the film. After watching the film, Gibson commented that the way that the film's creators had drawn from existing cyberpunk works was exactly the kind of creative cultural osmosis he'd relied upon in his own writing. However, he noted that he thinks the film's Gnostic themes distinguish it from Neuromancer, and he believed it was more thematically close to the work of Philip K. Dick. The key of the beginning theme you hear at the beginning. Oh, Jeremy, I thought you would like this one. The key of the beginning theme you hear at the beginning of every Matrix movie ascends with each movie. So in 1999, it starts in key of E minor. In 2003, with Matrix Reloaded, it goes up to F sharp minor. And in Matrix Revolutions, it ascends half a step to the key of G minor.
Wow, they're just modulating. Did they continue that with Matrix
I don't know.
Resurrections?
I don't know. I'd be curious.
Will you ever know?
I haven't watched it, so maybe not. When the idea of the Matrix
Did
was
you learn
early
that from
development-
watching these movies?
No.
Did you?
When the idea of the Matrix was in early development in the early 1990s, this is a sad one for me. The Wachowskis' first choice for the role of Neo, and I think he would have been great, was Brandon Lee, but he died on the set of The Crow in 1994. Does everyone know how Brandon Lee died? It's a crazy Hollywood story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do not,
tell
and the audience may not.
I can tell the
The
audience.
audience may not.
A prop, I don't remember what it was. A prop something got like dropped into the prop gun that had blanks loaded in it, and then they had like a close-up shot
okay, that was
scene
Brandon Lee.
on set, and they shot,
Yeah.
and the prop thing like came out of the barrel and tragically killed him. But so that's why we didn't get Brandon Lee as Neo, and
That's why they don't use blanks anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, blanks will still kill you, point blank.
The only film in the trilogy where Neo, I can't talk. Speaking of firearms, this is the only film in the trilogy, I don't know about the fourth, where Neo utilizes firearms. It's also the only one released in the 20th century, second millennium.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go, man.
That's
Well
my
said.
thing.
I don't remember him using guns in the fourth one either, but
We may never know. It's impossible to know.
I mean,
But there are things
it's possible to
that we
know.
do know. Come on, don't
What
be
did I
ridiculous.
you can rent it tonight.
Hey, I'll let you know.
You
I'll
can
let you know
know
exactly what you know.
tonight.
You could know tonight. There are a few more fun facts about this movie. One fun fact, which harkens back to the debate, where I believe everybody was just kind of pointing out that Keanu Reeves is probably the hardest working man in showbiz. While training for this film, Keanu Reeves suffered a partial fusion of his cervical spine, causing him to experience a noticeable amount of leg paralysis. Not great.
Oh.
Leading him to having like surgery on his neck, like really close to like the filming, and ultimately his fight choreography had to be changed so he does fewer kicks than anybody else in the movie because of that. Just lot less kicking because of the leg paralysis and whatnot.
Now I feel like a jerk criticizing it for not being gritty and realistic.
Yeah. How do you feel, Trav? How do you feel?
I didn't know, okay? And I didn't know.
Hey, now you do.
Now you do.
And yeah, you do. Hey.
And
you
look,
know,
you'd have some cervical spine issues after being unplugged from the Matrix anyway.
you
That
would.
was
It's
realistic,
right
really.
in there, you know?
Yeah, it's all up in
He
there.
did it for the realism.
Yeah.
You know, it was reading and then that.
Method acting at its finest.
So method. Yeah. Let's see. Also, early drafts of the script did have humans being used for computing power rather than as a power source. But the studio thought that the audience wouldn't understand that.
Oh my god!
I don't know, man. Maybe they just didn't. Maybe they just didn't know what computers were. And I don't know.
I want to believe this is probably the same studio execs that made Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. They won't get it.
We better tell them 7 times.
That is the important thing to keep in mind, I guess, is that any movie that costs as much as this one did, there's going to be studio interference, and there's going to be really stupid notes like that. And some of the things they can't say no to that you really wish they could have. Because I think that would have made a lot more sense for what it's worth. But man.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Speaking
batteries.
of money-
We're not good ones. Hey, yeah.
Speaking of money, this movie is a smashing success. So for
Yes.
all audience members who might be new, you have to make around 2 times your original budget to be considered a box office success, because there's a lot of distribution prices and stuff that comes after all of the filming is done that you need to pay for. So 2 times the budget is usually what a box office success is. This movie cost $63 million to make, and worldwide it made 473.3. So definitely more than 2 times its budget.
It's amazing that it only cost $63 million, but of course
I
it's
know that blew my mind.
$99. So
A very different time, but even still pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have more facts, Jeremy? Or should we move on?
I did have one more than Travis said that. The film was considered expensive at the time to make, so the cost was split between 2 studios.
Oh.
Not uncommon. Pretty boring as far as facts go. But a different fact that's less boring, maybe. One of the characters on the Nebuchadnezzar, Switch, was so named because the character was initially supposed to be a man in the Matrix and a woman in the real world. And that was just, the residual self-image that had that. But, the studio was like, no, none of that.
Yeah.
None of that. You 2 Wachowski brothers, who will always be the Wachowski brothers.
Yeah. A bit of a foreshadowing for the Wachowski gender arc, and we of course know they've now fully transitioned, and that's great for them, living in their own skins the way they choose to. Indeed. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the studio also didn't think people would get or connect to that, given that they thought people wouldn't get the very blatant philosophical symbolism at play. And with that, let's talk about what we actually thought about the film. Travis, because you rolled astoundingly low and had to debate against this film. As low as possible, in point of fact. Why don't you tell us what you actually thought? And then, Matt, you'll get to tell us the same.
You know what it is? I'm a DM again. I'm back to being in the Dungeon Master chair, and that means my rolls are going to be trash.
True.
Because that's just how it works in the Dungeons and Dragons world. I didn't necessarily totally lie, other than the fact that I do like this movie. I think, like most of my criticisms, I would hold to. I don't think it's as like smart of a philosophical idea as it kind of purports itself to be, or has been. I don't even think it's the Wachowskis that have purported it to be this. Yeah. I think it's like gained this fandom that kind of lifts it up as like this echelon of philosophical filmmaking. And I don't think it's quite that. I think it's at its heart, it's an action film, a really entertaining one that has a deep message. And if that's all I ever heard of it, I would agree and say like, yeah, I love The Matrix. It's a fun movie, really good action scenes, has a cool philosophical story, really interesting plot thread. I think it could have gone deeper, like maybe in a non-action film, maybe in a different studio. Well, actually, we've seen it. We've seen this type of story done a different way and gone deeper in Severance. So like this thing has happened where we've like seen where this actual like drama philosophical idea goes. That's not what this is. It's an action film, action trilogy. And I think it's very entertaining. I don't think I would agree with myself on the effects as much. Yeah, they don't look as good as they did, but they hold up decently. Yeah. The wire fighting still looks pretty damn good. The action sequences are fantastic. And I'll end with my boy Hugo Weaving is a hell of a villain. I constantly quote just say things in that voice that he did for this movie. It's like so... Yeah. The Agent Smith voice is so cool, and I'll never forget it. And anytime I meet someone with the last name Anderson, I'm like, Mr. Anderson. Like you have to do it because it's just
you do.
How do you not?
He ate he cooked, as the kids say these days.
Yeah, he debatably did both of those things.
He cooked.
Agreed.
He shat it out later. It was fantastic.
He did. Matt, what do you actually like The Matrix, or did the dice roll make you do that?
I think it is actually really quite good at what it is. If I were going to push the negative a little more, though, I do think that it thinks it's a smarter movie than it is, and I actually do believe that is the Wachowskis liking these deep philosophical ideas, but maybe not thinking them through as much as they could. And I think this is much more evident in the later movies where they were allowed to indulge themselves more and get further out on their skis. This one, you can still see it, but it doesn't get in the way of the story being a lot of fun. But I can easily point to things where stuff is supposed to be really portentous and deep, and I'm like, but that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And like one of my favorite dumb lines is when Neo meets Morpheus, and Morpheus is like, well, unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. And like, what are you talking about? It's a computer simulation that all of humanity is trapped in. In reality, you're in a pod in a battery farm. And yes, this is an extraordinary claim, but I can prove it to you by waking you up in that pod. So 3 sentences, there you go. That's what the Matrix is.
Very much be told what it is.
And not only can you be told what it is, but you probably should be before somebody wakes you up in that pod, because it's a really traumatic experience if you don't know what's happening.
Yes.
I mean, in the movie, it's like first he's being eaten. This mirror quicksilver is covering his body, and then he wakes up with a an intubation tube down his throat and all these wires jacked into him. He has no idea where he is. This robot comes down, grabs him by the neck, pulls all the wires out, and then he's flushed down this water slide into a pool where he starts drowning.
Right.
And it's like, why would you not let him know? And the answer is because if you do, then the audience isn't going to be surprised.
Well, heads up would be appreciated.
And there are other things like that where they'll say some portentous line. But I think the biggest issue is that the two questions that the movie never really grapples with are, one, why is the Matrix bad? And two, what is the Resistance really trying to achieve, right? And the closest they come to explaining why the Matrix is bad is that it's not real. That's what Trinity is saying when Cypher is explaining why he defected. He's like, I don't want to live in shitty reality. I want to eat steak and be happy. And she's like, but it's not real, Cypher. And it's like, and I remember watching that the first time and like, so what? Yeah. Reality is terrible. If reality is terrible and you have this option that you prefer, why wouldn't you go with that option you prefer? And because they don't answer that, it kind of also leaves this question of what is the goal of the Resistance? Are you going to shut the Matrix simulation off? That's going to kill a lot of people. It's going to drive a lot of people insane. And it's going to make a lot of people really unhappy. Or are you going to keep the Matrix going, but then what? And there's that, I actually wrote this down in case I was the anti. It's like he gives this speech. It's like when he's on the phone in the last scene and he's talking to the machines, he's like, I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone and I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you, a world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries, a world where anything is possible. What does that mean? I mean, is everybody going to be Superman now? Is everybody going to have the power to change reality? Because that sounds cool, but it also sounds like chaos.
It's not going to work.
Really bad. It's yeah. And
if any more is possible in the Matrix, when you know how to break the rules and stuff.
Right, exactly. So it's like they didn't really think it through, because what the movie's really selling you is not an actual revolution. It's selling you this idea of, I'm going to smash the system, man, because it's the system. Woo-ha, that feels great. And you don't think about the follow-up.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that as a cool entertainment, but at the same time, I recognize it's ultimately kind of a hollow vision as far as philosophic, any kind of deep thought. And this gets to be a problem in the later movies where I think they try to say something deep and you realize they don't have anything that deep to say. So
I think especially if
I do got to say real quick, Travis. Nope. I'm doing it real quick just because I want Matt to know, since he hasn't seen it yet, that he just summarized one battle after another. Just so he knows.
That won't surprise me, but the question will be, does the movie understand that that's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to tell that story if you know you're telling that story.
Right.
So I'll have to see if it's about, these people are idiots and
after you watch it, I'm excited to talk to you about it and see what you think about the ending specifically, because it would be a fun discussion. Sorry to interrupt you, Travis. What did you want to say?
That's okay. I just wanted off of that, because I've been dying to talk about this kind of thing on every show all the time. I think, Matt, you're completely right, and you even made me kind of think deeper about my own criticisms in the debate of, I think what bothers me is how it gets compared so often to the things that it clearly is like taking inspiration from, like Plato's allegory of the cave. When like I tell people, like, go read The Cave. Plato's not even that hard to read because he's translated from Greek into English, so it's not like really dense language that you're trying to run through. It's not easy, but it's not super hard. And
easier than Chaucer.
Yeah, easier than Chaucer. The point of The Cave, I think that, Matt, you're pointing to, that the Matrix doesn't really get, is that everything in the cave is a cheap imitation of reality. And so reality outside of the cave is like much better because it's the real thing. But that real thing is like beautiful and animals and sunshine. And like everything in the cave is like this bastardization, cheap imitation of that. But the Matrix world outside of the pods,
it's like the opposite.
Isn't that at all?
So it's just the it's just the idea of, yes, it has that feeling of the bad guys are bad because they're mean.
Yeah.
And the good guys are good because they're loyal and because they say things. like you know, it's not real, man. I'm going to bring you freedom. And actually, I'd written down this quote too. To contrast that vision of freedom that Neo offers at the end. You know, we're a world where anything is possible. And it's a quote about people getting a little too excited about personal freedom from a blogger called The Last Psychiatrist, which I just find is hilarious. You may think you want freedom, but the Cenobites can imagine a whole lot more freedom than you can, and are just waiting for you to go first. It's the idea that some restrictions and rules that we have on our lives are actually very important. And when you talk about endless possibility, that can turn into a horror movie really, really quickly. And people don't think about that enough. And again, if you're gonna grapple with the ideas, that's something you have to deal with too. Is like, what are you gonna do when people have different ideas of what a boundaryless life is like? And it's so. But it's not really about that. It's not really. They're not really interested in that, and so.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because like you're saying there, Matt, especially within the context of the Matrix reality, where in theory, I assume the Resistance plans to give other people powers similar to that they've given themselves in Neo, right? Like the ability to upload information and knowledge and skills that they're interested in having. Either that or they're going to Sam Altman this thing and just be like, yeah, you can pay me for that. In which case they're no better than the fucking Matrix. But like, if you did give everybody all the powers and abilities and knowledge that they wanted, then everybody's just Rick Sanchez and you end up living in Rick and Morty, which is a chaotic as fuck reality. Like, that's not going to be a good time. Worst case scenario, you end up living in like The Purge, but forever, you know? Like, and that's a cynical view of humanity. I like to believe there'd be some groups that would form, some societies that would not go down that path, but just history will tell us that that's not how the larger base of humanity tends to break it down. And it's also like equally dictatorial, like, or however you say that, dictatorship-torial, you know? Dictatorial, right? Yeah, it's equally dictatorial. Dictatorial, that's what I was looking for, Jeremy. I knew there was another fucking syllable in that bitch. Dictatorial, to take it away from people without fucking asking them. Like, send out a survey, bro. You can send that shit across the Matrix sky and just be like, hey, you want to live in this weird dystopian, shitty, cyberpunk, blown up world where we live, or do you want to like keep eating steak? It's up to you. I'm sure a lot of people would stay in that fucking cave. Because like Travis said, Plato's cave is interesting because it is that urge towards like urging humanity towards more introspection, towards more like experiencing the world as it is and as it can be. But you have to leave the shadow show to do that. But like the Matrix doesn't offer that on the other side of the cave. Like, it sucks out there. It'd be like, I'll tell you what, if Plato walked people to the edge of the cave and was like, look, behold, and like the whole world was like a blizzard and it was the middle of winter and it was like late seasons Game of Thrones, like nobody's leaving the fucking cave. They're going to be like, I'm chilling. Like, I don't know.
Fire and like a chat puppet show. It's fun down there.
I don't know why you want me to go out there, but fuck you, guy. Like, that looks like it sucks.
I really don't want to leave the cave for just the occasional sweaty cave orgy.
I think there is this unstated assumption in the movie that modern life in 1999 is just hollow or missing something. But that's one person's dissatisfaction or a small group of people's dissatisfaction with life and making that terrible mistake. And this is particularly hilarious coming from people who are supposedly progressive, that the assumption that everyone must feel this way, that there can't be plenty of people in 1999 who were quite happy with the lives they had and the choices they'd made. Not everybody was having this existential ennui, like, oh, woe is me, what is the meaning of life? It's like, nah, I'm happy with what I have. I hope it continues, but that's the
Mhm.
thing. And like saying, no, we must smash the system and then something better will happen somehow. Okay,
what seems
Yeah.
to me like the best reality to live in the Matrix universe is to keep the robots alive, break out, and then keep going back in as a superpower guy.
Yeah, like Jeremy said.
That
That's
does-
easily
I mean,
the
that's
best
honestly-
existence in the Matrix is to like exit the Matrix and then go back in as a fucking god. And you then you'll be an actual superhero. And honestly, you could then, to harken back to our episode on Death Note, but you could become a Kira figure and enact your own form of justice upon the citizens of the Matrix.
Justice.
You
Oh my
could
God,
be
just a-
fucking justice.
I mean, I don't think the Matrix itself seems all that great once you have all, like, even the yutzes from the film just going in there and enacting their will, and like, especially for Matrixes 2 and 3, like, you have this person who everybody knows is who the news reports as like a terrorist, which is Neo, Morpheus, whatever. It's like, this guy, he can fly now. That's a thing. In other news, everyone, a lot of people do seem to be just becoming this one guy, and they just show a picture of Agent Smith. Like, if you or anybody you know is this guy, could you tell us why exactly? And it's
Well, that's the other thing is, they're killing a lot of people too.
Oh yeah,
they're killing so many people.
Yeah,
and they kind of just hand wave that in the movie about, well, yes, all these people are asleep. They are the enemy until they are brought through. And I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Anyone?
And again, you can roll with it. You can roll with it as an entertainment, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
they bend a spoon, Matt, and that's really cool.
That's true. They do bend. They do spoon bend.
Because
I guess I too, just real quick, my actual thoughts on the movie. I've already expressed plenty of them. But overall, my only big gripe with it is a perfectly fine movie, but I do think it's profoundly overrated. I think it's seen as this like classic film, and we've kind of gone through all the reasons why I don't necessarily think it's as good as it's purported to be when you go back and watch it relative to other contemporary works, even works that sure they come after, but I don't think we talked about Minority Report most recently. That was our last episode. And honestly, I think that's a way better version of this philosophical quandary and of like a futuristic exploration of said quandary through film. I thought the Minority Report was excellent, and it was also it did a better job of balancing the narrative and the action. I feel like the Matrix is really fun in the philosophical lens for the first half, maybe 2/3 if I'm being generous, but once it turns into a full-on action movie, that's all it is. I mean, it goes full on action movie, and then it kind of loses the thread of everything else. And by the end, it's like Matt was saying, we're sort of just assumed we're going to agree with the point by the end. And so when they make that blatant statement of we're gonna show the world without you and blah blah blah, it's like that is so not freedom. Freedom is choice, and if you're taking away everybody's autonomy to make that choice for themselves by not even presenting it to them and just pulling the plug without their knowledge, consent, or any way in whatsoever, you are not a revolutionary. You are just another form of the same problem. You think you have all the answers, and you think your answer is correct, and you don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. So it shoots itself in the foot at the end. It contradicts its entire message, in my opinion. And to me, that makes it fall pretty flat. As this classic philosophical quandary movie, where I just think there's lots of movies that do it better. I mean, fucking Inception does it better. Shutter Island does it better. And
The Truman Show.
The Truman Show does it way better.
Oh,
yeah.
The Truman Show is so good.
So anyway, that's Severance you brought up. It's a good
Dark
example.
City. I think Dark
Which one?
City does.
Dark
Dark
City.
City does a much better job of. It's a different moral scenario entirely there, but it does a better job of explaining why the bad guys are bad.
Yeah.
Why you should root against them. And I mean, I this is the thing I've noticed in the the other Wachowski movies going forward too. There are times when I'm like, they have this, they think that they're very progressive and they have this great vision, but like a lot of the times it's just like it's the kind of progressiveness where the goal is to get together with a bunch of friends and beat the crap out of the people who were mean to you.
Yes.
And I totally understand the catharsis that comes from that, but there's a part of me that's like, yes, but that can take you to bad places too. And I prefer a more thoughtful, where you some people you kind of have to fight, but there are also going to be people you just don't see eye to eye with, but you actually got to figure out how to get along with them. And that's very different from finding a crew of people who mostly just like you. And becoming the biggest gang on the block with superpowers. So
no, that's a really good point, Matt, because that is again where it falls flat philosophically is like that's a different movie. That's a different movie. Get together and beat up the bad guys. I'll watch that movie all fucking day. I got no problem beating up the technocratic fascists. Like, let's go do it. I'm fucking sign me up. I'll be your friend. I'll learn kung fu. Like, let's go punch some technocrats. Where's Sam Altman at? I'm gonna fucking American History X that guy. But like that's it. I hate that guy so much, dude. Watch some press conferences.
You're gonna laugh, man.
I actually literally just put him in a short story as my villain character so I could crush him with a boat. Tune into Beneath the Rain Shadow tomorrow if you want to learn more about that.
If you want to see somebody crushed with a boat.
Yeah. Well, I can't show it to you, but it's on the page. It's in the prose. But I just feel like, and I think you already said this to some degree, Matt, as well, that it's just a different movie, right? And if you're making that movie, cool. If you're making a philosophical movie, cool. If you're making some kind of hybrid, cool. But know what the fuck you're making and commit to it and live up to the promises that you give us as a creator. That's what's most important to me and what defines a great movie from a good movie, from a good movie to a bad movie. This is a good movie, but it's not a great movie and everybody acts like it is. What do you think, Jeremy, before we go to break?
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, I do think this is a pretty great movie, I love the whole brain in a vat meets Plato's allegory of the cave meets Kung Fu Hustle just thing that we got going on. I like the thematic elements, how everybody on the Nebuchadnezzar feels like they have just a different philosophical point of view, which they do just want to spout at Neo whenever he walks by, but might as well. And I think it works for the story that Neo is kind of just like a simpleton, just a sweet boy who's like, well,
not too bright though.
I don't know about all this, but I think I can go shoot guns at all these people and get Morpheus out. Lots of people have told me the future, but whatever.
One of my favorite lines in cinema history is he's beginning to believe. It's just a good line. It just hits.
It's really good, Yeah. I think it's great. I think the movie as a whole is let down a little bit by the sequels, which I do also love. I'm coming right out with it, but it is not ruined by them nearly as much as it is ruined by people who are just diehard fans of this movie, because those people have been insufferable for 27 years now.
Yeah.
They gotta cool it. All right. Hey.
I also think it probably has a lot to do with what age you are when you saw this, because I remember seeing it and thinking I'm probably about 5 or 10 years too old to be completely blown away by this.
Yeah, it's fair.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't life-changing for me. But I was like, this probably feels to some people the way Star Wars did when I saw it in the theater in 77. So, and I think that's something else you have to keep in mind arguing about it, is that for people who are just at that right age, that probably was like, wow.
Yeah.
And, yes, the themes are old, but if you've never seen it before, it feels like something totally new.
Yeah.
So
that's true. And I am a huge proponent of that. I've talked about that on lots of panels and stuff. Whenever people want to make that argument of just because you were first or whatever doesn't make you the best, or this is just a reiteration of something older. Yeah, well, most stories are. And like, you never know what's going to be your first version of that thing. And it's okay for your first version of that thing to blow you away and make you think deeper about that thing. And hopefully that leads you to go look at, if you really, really love those thematic elements or those character archetypes or whatever you loved from The Matrix, the utilization of technology as a villain, whatever. Go analyze the things that inspired it and came before and learn more about it. That's a good thing that The Matrix did then for the creative realm, in my opinion. And I was blown away and am still very attached to plenty of things that other people would probably shit on as derivative or not that great. Like, for example, the early works of M. Night Shyamalan. I was totally blown away. I was the age. And like when Signs came out, when The Sixth Sense, like when I first watched all those movies, I was completely enamored, and then he made The Village, and it was like when you finally realize like something negative about your partner and you're like, oh. And then you have to double
been here the whole time.
all your life choices. Yeah, you're like, have you always been like this? But yeah, there we are. Sorry, what's up, man?
Before we go on break, I want to send us to break with homework because I have a big question that I would like to hear an answer to, but I want to give you time to think about it.
This never happens, Matt. We swear.
Yeah, sorry, Matt, but you made me think of it.
You broke the format just for you.
I broke the format just for you. So the first question, when we come back from the 5-minute breaks, I want to know what is one of your favorite deep thinking movies, one of your favorite shallow action films, and then if there's a movie that you think successfully combines both action and deep thinking.
Okay, so deep thinking movie, favorite action movie. Those are two separate assignments.
Deep
and then
thinking movie,
one that combines both.
And then one that combines both. Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, everybody on the call, you got 5 minutes to think about that. Anybody watching, listening, whatever else it is, you got 5 minutes to do whatever you got to do. Matt, go ahead and turn off your camera and your mic for us, and everything else. Everybody else do the same. We'll see y'all in 5 minutes. We're still Fermented Fiction, and we will remain that on the other side. Goodbye. Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains, like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie,
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
everybody
exactly what he made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How did you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
It's our yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my God, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast. in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time. Main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him. Everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's like very like hard-nosed at the beginning. And then like, I will say another pro of this movie is like their chemistry is hot. And like, I feel like if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been like, ugh. Because she says at one point, she's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Like, fuck. And he's like, and then later when they like are like kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was like two lesser actors, I think it would have been like an eye roll, like felt cheesy, but like you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending like, you know, Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate that
yeah,
time.
settle
You're willing
twice.
to willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that
I've
was
done in my
so
life.
good. That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
Look at that. Look at that. Look
See
at
that?
the
Oh, yeah.
words on the screen there.
Those words.
Like,
Do it.
like the comment.
Like it.
subscribe.
Comment. Yeah, comment about your deep thinkers, your shallow action, whatever.
They're not just words. They're
Let us know.
suggestions.
Because I don't know shit, man.
And I have the power to remove them. Just like we remove
Boom!
people from the
Damn.
Matrix.
Pull your ass from the Matrix. Now you know
Like,
how Travis
yeah.
would have handled that situation.
Yeah, honestly though, no, I would have probably approached it like Matt. Like you can give a little PS, like a written script that's like, hey, when you take this pill, you're gonna wake up in a vat of fluid with a tube down your throat, and another one in your spine, and then you're gonna almost drown. But we'll save you. It'll be fine. Yeah.
Non-consensual water sliding has to be a
Water
among
slides
them.
should be consensual.
I really do think that. I
Water slide should-
don't want to be dropped into a water slide out of fucking nowhere. I will say, especially
I think that's
a
something
sliding
we
one.
can all agree with.
I'm really less inclined with the intubation tube. I don't want to wake up with one.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
just remove it myself.
Yeah, that seems pretty rough.
Fair.
But our first question was homework. So let's see if everybody did it. Matt, you're gonna be our first one.
Okay, thought provoking. I came up with two, and they're just movies that you know trust you to be smart. And the first is Upstream Color, by Shane Carruth, the same guy who did Primer, and Upstream Color is really a really impressive movie, and I'm kind of sad it was like the last. I think that was his last hurrah. And then Predestination.
Oh yeah, is that the Ethan Hawke one?
Yeah, it's Ethan Hawke. It's based on the All You Zombies short story by Robert Heinlein, and it's sort of I won't try to explain it, but it's just one of those things where I remember watching with my wife, and it was one of those movies where I just found myself like, what genre is this? Because it's I mean, the idea is science fictional, but it's all over the place in terms of what it's doing. And I was just like, wow, this is really clever and smart. And then my favorite action movie is probably Hard Boiled to John Woo, which after a very long absence showed up on Tubi. So
oh, nice.
You can watch it now. And yeah, it's this totally gonzo, over the top gunfire ballet. If you like the bullet time in The Matrix, then Hard Boiled is that in spades. So it's amazing.
John Woo just John Wooing all over the place.
Yeah.
And then
and I think they use actual ammo.
So, oh, geez.
So it's like, I'm sure behind the scenes you find out how many people got hurt during the filming or set on fire or whatever.
It was all of them.
No, I think actually one of the actors took some shrapnel during one of the scenes. Like I remember reading that. So,
and did you have one that you think combines action and deep thinking well?
No, I didn't come up with one of those.
All right. I like those picks though. I think Hard Boiled. I've come around to liking John Woo than I used to. I think because there's been a lot of really subpar action films made recently, and I kind of went back and revisited John Woo, and I was like, it's a very stylistic but very good. Like Mission Impossible 2, I found myself appreciating more than I used to, just because it's unashamedly John Woo with Tom Cruise as the lead.
I mean, I think combining the two, I would probably, if I were, doing it on a short clock, I might be tempted to reach for some of the Christopher Nolan movies like Inception or, but the problem there is and when I saw Tenet, I was like, okay, I'm not a dumb guy, but I really cannot make sense of exactly what's going on with the two time streams. And I just realized I love Christopher Nolan, but part of that is I love Hans Zimmer. The Hans Zimmer score makes the movie seem 10 times better than they would be otherwise. So I'm
pretty pumped to see pumped to see what he does with the Odyssey. Jeremy, what did you come up with?
Now, hey, in classic homework fashion, I did do about 2/3 of this homework. Mostly because when it comes to like deep thinking type movies, all the recommendations I get are either boring or just all the way up their own ass. Like, this is not as smart as you all think it is, and this is not a fun watch for me. Now, obviously, there are some great movies out there that people will purport as being really smart, and you really have to think about it, and you have to be smart to get it. The main recommendation you get for that is like Inception, and honestly, a pretty straightforward movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of surprises there. It's just one thing leads to another thing. Yeah, Dreams. Fine. Dreams. Yeah, they're doing Dreams. Cillian Murphy's there, and so is Tom Hardy. Watch it. It's fun. Okay.
Yeah, what else do you need?
Yeah, what else do you need? So, I don't have great deep thinkers to just go ham about. I wish I did. I wish I could be that snotty dude saying oh, well, if you didn't like it, you simply didn't understand. But I would like nothing more than to be that guy. I'm not.
You don't want to be that guy. You could be.
Don't I?
What are your other two?
No.
What are your other two?
Hey, my other two for a solid, excellent, just action is the art form type of movie. I do have to go with John Wick, because it is simple, it is elegant, it is him and the entire population of Murder Town between him and where he needs to be. Perfect. Beautiful.
And that population is one at the end of the movie.
Yep. It is one. The one that's the one he does want to murder. You gotta put in the work to get there. Okay?
You do. And he does.
Yeah. And I think the perfect combination of action and, things to think about, philosophical points, emotional depth, is, of course, the movie Speed Racer, which I have tastefully not brought up until now.
Matt, I literally want to ask this question just by itself of what do you think of Speed Racer, but we'll get to that later. So my homework answer for action movies, I will harken back. Hark! To quote The Lighthouse. I will harken back to my youth a couple of the more action-heavy movies that I still love to this day and will love forever. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, because that movie fucking slaps and bangs and does any other iteration of that idiom that you want to use. It's just a great fucking movie. It's got action all the way through. It's a classic adventure story, and it's better than Indiana Jones, and I'll stand and die on the hill.
That I don't know.
And The Ghost in the Darkness is a favorite action film of mine. A classic, like, historical fiction / kind of adventure horror film based on a true story. If you've never seen Ghost in the Darkness, that's a really fun movie. Yeah, exactly. I admit it is something of a white savior movie for sure. So if that bothers you, don't watch it. But it was made in the late '90s, so that could scarcely be helped. What's that?
Also based on a true story. Like, yeah, he had a lot of help, but that guy did do a lot of stuff.
He did. Yes. The based on is just, I think, a pretty key factor to all that. But yeah. The thoughtful movies that I really enjoy. I had a couple in my mind, and they have since slipped my mind. The one at the yes, ironically. One though that has stayed in my mind. I do think The Assassination of Jesse James is a pretty thoughtful movie.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I also really liked that it's a relatively contemporary horror film, but it's called Presence. There was a lot of stuff in that I found quite thought-provoking. It's a ghost story told from the perspective of the ghost. In terms of being a thoughtful movie, it shoots itself a little bit in the foot at the end because the end reveal is a bit like basic, but I still think that a movie can be really thought-provoking to a willing viewer who's willing to take the content and interpret it through their own lens. If that content is presented in a really intentional, thoughtful manner, and I do think Presence is a good example of that. Maybe the surface level plot is relatively basic, but I think there's a lot of stuff going on underneath, and I think that stuff is intentional and therefore very thoughtful. And I consume a lot of contemporary stuff. I am of the mind that contemporary stuff is just as valuable as classic stuff. And so a really great combination, and I've talked about this film on the show very often ever since I've saw it. I am just a huge fan of this movie. But No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook is fucking awesome. And everyone should watch it. But it's a great example of action and thoughtfulness being kind of combined to get across. And I think it's a perfect example that is like the antithesis of our beef with The Matrix, which is that it's not as deep as it thinks it is. This movie, No Other Choice, very much is deeper than it pretends it thinks it is. It knows exactly what it's trying to say. It says it through a story, and you can look as deeply into that story as you want, but it doesn't feel like it has a pretension. It feels like it takes the work seriously and not itself seriously, which is always my favorite thing in any film, book, or whatever else I'm consuming artistically speaking. So that is my favorite contemporary combination of the two. I think there's other good ones. I am also a Shutter Island fan. I think that movie's really fun, though I think it's pretty pretentious and thinks it's smarter than it is. But it's a good combination of thoughtfulness and action. And then finally, I would say I think Cabin in the Woods does this, but that might be my bias. I think you can be really, and I think that kind of falls in the same category I was just describing with No Other Choice, though No Other Choice is a much smarter movie than Cabin in the Woods. And Wook is a better filmmaker than Joss Whedon, but the same principle applies. Whereas I think they both Joss Whedon knew the story he was telling. He told it to the level he wanted to tell it, but he told it in a way that, like, if you want to look deeper into those ideas and the sources of the terror, like I've talked so much everywhere and on this show about how that opening scene where they're doing water cooler gossip, but then we realize later they're going to end the fucking world later in the movie. That's actually more terrifying than the zombies, because it's like, what's really scary about that is like, yeah, these kind of people do run the world, and their real concerns are going to be their fucking cabinets and shit, not like what they do at their office. So, you know, I think that kind of stuff, it's as thoughtful as you want it to be when the movie is made with that intentionality, but I don't need to ramble anymore.
That was good. I like it. I have quick 3. Deep thinking movie, real quick. I do think, like, I want to reclaim that phrase, because I do think it gets associated with the, like, you don't understand crowd. Sorry for my dog in the background, but I don't think that's really what I think of with deep thinking movies. Like, it's anything that makes you go contemplative, really wrestle with the ideas that the movie's presenting, and does so in as non-pretentious of a way as possible. With that in mind, recent one that I really loved called Sentimental Value, about the relationship between a father and a daughter, and how, like, grief is affected in there, and like what divorce can do. It's a really, really, really thought-provoking and well-performed film. Stellan Skarsgård knocks it out of the park, as well as the actress who's the co-lead. And I feel bad that I forgot her name, but it's a very Dutch name, and I always forget it. Favorite Shallow movie, action film, is The First Raid. The Raid.
Oh yeah.
Not the Raid 2, because the Raid 2, I think the Raid 2
slaps
slaps even harder, but the Raid 2 is a deeper movie. It's like it's a gangster film. But The First Raid is literally just man in tower kills tower. And that's like, it's so
good.
Man versus tower.
Man versus tower is the first raid, and he wins. He
does.
And then a movie that I think combines both is, again, one that I've talked about way too much and will not talk about anymore, but I think the action sequences in No Country for Old Men are criminally underrated and incredibly thrilling. So that is an action film in many moments, and every other moment is one of the smartest, deepest, most well-executed scripts I've ever seen put to screen. So that's my 3 answers. And
Good
speaking
choices.
of No Country
before
for
you
Old
get
Men,
into that,
what?
I do have, you brought up a good point, and it's not necessarily the thoughtfulness of the movie, but the thoughts it provokes within you that really make it something special. With that in mind, I do think that the most thoughtless of books and movies and TV shows tend to provoke the most thoughts out of me. So, like, for example, which we have covered on the show before, the Santa Claus provokes a lot of thoughts that it itself is very much not thinking.
So are you arguing that the Santa Claus is a deep thinker?
No, I am not.
Okay. Matt Ruff, I want to know, Jeremy's set up some really delightfully fun questions here. A,
thank you.
What do you think of Speed Racer? And B, is the Santa Claus a deep thinker?
Starring American heartthrob Tim Allen.
Never seen the Santa Claus, unfortunately.
Probably fine.
And I have seen Speed Racer's first 5 minutes twice and bounced off it both times. And so everybody tells me it's great, and I just
greatest movie
start
ever
watching it, and I'm like, I don't see it. And I've just never made myself get to the point where the supposed brilliance kicks in, and I probably should, but I haven't yet.
Look, the first 5 minutes, it is like that the whole time.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
Well, then it's probably not for me.
I do think I would not have finished that movie if I hadn't been forced to for the show, and I would have been with you, Matt. I probably made like 5-10 minutes and been like, I'm done.
I mean, if you want to invite me back sometime and force me to watch it, I'll go for that.
God,
Of course,
yes.
then I'm going to roll the damn die and have to defend it as the greatest thing ever, and that's going to be a challenge.
you know it'll happen. I do have a couple more questions, and we have a bit of a clock, so I do want to move on here. But we talked about a lot of iconic films, and I want to talk about icons because Matt, let's not. We got to lift you up on a pedestal a little bit because your books are amazing. One of them has now become a very famous adaptation on HBO. I hear a lot of people talk about Lovecraft Country, and people who've read the book and watched the show. Across the board, I'm not just lifting you up here, but across the board have said that the book is amazing and better than the show. So you have become an icon of a sort, and I'm just curious, from a person who's wrote an iconic book that is now an iconic show, is there someone you've met who is an icon that was like you were like a fanboy and lost your mind, and what was that like?
Oh, I mean, I've had plenty of instances where I've met famous people and been kind of tongue-tied about it. Although, I mean, just meeting actors and actresses when I got to go on set there, that was always kind of astonishing. I mean, the author I am most impressed by, I continue to be most impressed by, is a guy named John Crowley, who a lot of people have not heard of. He's a writer's writer. If you know him, you understand why he is so revered by other writers. And unfortunately, he's now suffering from, it's not dementia, but it's some kind of, I think he's in his 80s. And so he's written his last novel. He doesn't have the concentration to write long fiction anymore, unfortunately. But I am very glad to count him as a friend and to have gotten to know him, because I learned a lot from his work and I've been very inspired by him. So he would be probably the person I would pick most. And I'm also fortunate to be good friends with Neil Stephenson, and he's just a lot of fun to hang out with. And if you know Neil is the kind of person who has a lot of interesting people in his circle. So if you go to a dinner at his house, you will meet cryptographers and inventors and all sorts of other interesting people. So that's kind of a nice thing too. But yeah, that's the nice thing about reaching a certain level of accomplishment as a writer, is you get to meet some of your heroes, and some of them actually turn out to be nice people. They don't always do. There are some people you're better off never meeting or being in a room with, but I've been fortunate that way. And what's so funny about Lovecraft Country is just a lot of that was just the timing. The book came out at just the right time, and the secret sauce was that Jordan Peele had decided he wanted to get into horror, and he was working on Get Out and thinking about his next project, and somebody got him a copy of Lovecraft Country, and he fell in love with it. And I get a call from my CA agent saying, this is odd. He's mostly known for comedy, but Jordan Peele wants to talk to you. And I said, sure. And we had this really great phone conversation where it was clear we were talking about the same story and loving it for the same reason, and had the same great ideas about it. And by the time I got off the phone, I was really stoked. Also in that phone call was Misha Green, who ended up being the showrunner for the HBO series. And
wow,
I was actually more impressed by her initially because I'd seen Underground, the other series she had done, and it was sort of, which is basically The Great Escape set on a slave plantation. So what was great about that was that the biggest problem with Lovecraft Country was going to be, how do you pitch basically the X-Files in the era of Jim Crow? It was like, there's a million reasons why a TV executive would be afraid of that.
Yeah.
And Misha had figured out how to pitch something like that and not have them run screaming from the room. So between the two of them, I'm like, wow, this sounds like this could actually go somewhere. And then of course, Get Out, I see the trailer for the first trailer for Get Out a few weeks after the phone conversation. And immediately I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand why he wants to do Lovecraft Country. And this is going to be, it was obvious that Get Out was going to be really successful just from the trailer. And I'm like, okay, much like the Wachowskis, he's going to get a golden ticket and get to do whatever he wants next. And I just happened to be in line and got that golden ticket. And that's what happened. So Get Out came out, was really successful. And Jordan was like, well, what I'd like to do next is this. And next thing you know, HBO goes, normally they would order a pilot, see if they like it, and then decide whether to make a series. And In this case, they were like, "No, we'll just give you the series, do 10 episodes." And
that's awesome.
So, 35 years as a published author, and suddenly I'm an overnight success after all that time. So it's nice if it happens, and that may very well turn out to be the pinnacle of my career in terms of commercial success and critical success, but that's fine, So that was a fun ride, and I had a great time with it. And I've been glad that I've still got 2 more Lovecraft Country books I'd like to write. Like, this is the first time I ever wrote a sequel, but I had more I wanted to say with the characters, and so I figured out the first book is set in 1954, and I figure if I carry it forward to 1963 when the Civil Rights Act is passed, that kind of fits very well with the story I'm telling. So I've written 1 sequel, and I've got 2 more I want to write. And the trick will just be, again, are people still going to read books anymore? And without having an HBO series to act as advertising, it's a lot harder to sell things now. So,
yeah, that's true.
So I've got the sequel did well, but not nearly as well as the first one. So now I've got to figure out, I will write the next 2, and then I will somehow, hopefully, find a way to get them published and get them people to know that they exist. So, but right now I'm working on something else. It's a science fiction murder mystery and about AI and bad parenting. That's my short description. And I will, I'm not quite ready to get into more detail, but that's sort of the basic idea. So
nice.
Clay or Jeremy, have you met any your favorite icons that were enjoyable experiences? We don't have to talk about the ones that don't meet your heroes.
Well, when it comes to meeting famous people, basically the only experience I do have is when I went to a concert. It was All American Rejects, where the opening act was 𝘓𝘓. I did get to meet both bands, but when I met 𝘓𝘓, my fly was down.
Nice.
And they did let me know. That was very kind of them.
That's very kind of 𝘓𝘓.
Good on
them. It was very nice of them. So there's that. I don't know if that answers your question.
I can't imagine meeting like a famous person and their first thing is like, "Hey, you're."
They're like, "Hey, you gotta like, thank you. That could have been weird. Glad it wasn't."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They didn't make it weird.
Was yours weird?
If I ever approached a personal hero with my fly down, they did not do me the courtesy of informing me. But yeah, I am pretty in the industry, so I've met plenty of people that I've admired, Matt Ruff included, huge Lovecraft Country fan, and many other people who have been on this show. I could list them off, but I'm not going to, because then I'd forget somebody and I'd feel terrible. But we've had the luxury of meeting a lot of these people that I profoundly admire. I've met Stephen Graham Jones, who is literally my favorite author, so that was awesome. I've also had a beer with Paul Tremblay, which is something I never thought I would do. He is another of my favorite authors. Adam Neville. I sat at the bar at last StokerCon with Adam Neville for like an hour, and he was the nicest fucking man on the planet. And that was just pure happenstance. Like, he was literally just waiting for a long time for a drink, and so was I. And he turned around and he said hi, and he was just a super nice person. So we ended up talking forever. And Adam Neville's super cool. I love his work. The Ritual is one of my favorite novels in terms of like isolation horror. So yeah, I've met a few people like that. I've been very awkward at some of them and succeeded at others. One of the coolest story I can tell is I met one of my favorite rappers in POS. He is a Minneapolis-based rapper. He's fucking awesome. If you've never heard POS, that is capital P period, capital O period, capital S period. And if you don't spell it that way, you will get some other random shitty rappers. But POS is fucking amazing. and he's made a lot of albums. He's a very, very like intelligent, lyric heavy rapper. I think everybody who likes, I know Jeremy and Travis, you guys would appreciate his work, but he's awesome. I went to Warped Tour when I was like a senior in high school, and there's not usually a bunch of rap there. So we went, me and Michael Shea, my friend, were both big rap fans. So we were looking forward to going to POS because we had his latest album, and we were big fans. His show was super tiny. Nobody was there because it's more of a metal and punk show. If you don't know about Warped Tour, we went up to his show. There was only like 15 people. So instead of performing on stage, POS hopped off the stage. He had us form a circle around him, and he performed in the middle of all of us. And then afterwards, he signed albums and held basically an informal Q&A, just like at his tent, which was just off stage. So we were all just basically hanging out and drinking with POS. This was in Canada, so I could drink at 18. And that was also a cool part of Warped Tour as a senior in high school. But yeah, got to drink beers and like hang out with POS for like an hour. And that was really, really cool. And just the way he did the performance was fucking awesome. We were in like everybody had a front row seat, and he was like right in front of you, like putting the mic in front of your face if he saw you were singing along, and all of us were. So like we all got to like be a part of it. It was very, very, very cool. And just like complete lack of ego to like, yeah, nobody's here. I'm going to hop off the stage and do this in a circle. It was awesome. That's the coolest story I have.
That's a really cool one. I'm again going to try and be quick with mine because I want to get more questions to you, Matt. I also met, we have met a lot of amazing people on the show. I have not met as many of them as in person, but I've got to interview some authors I never thought I would even talk to, which is cool. But I am a big American freestyle folk style wrestling fan, and Kyle Dake, the only collegiate champion to win 4 national titles at 4 different weight classes. I went to a summer camp with him that was only like 40 people large, and so I got to meet him. He's a really cool guy, but when you reach that level of like athletic prowess, the level of competitive he was, we played like dodgeball with like 10-year-olds, and this man
have fun.
He wouldn't lose. Like a 10-year-old would be in front of him, and you're like, Kyle, you can like maybe let him hit you once. He's like, I don't lose. Like not even to a 10-year-old. So that was really
do that. He can fucking earn it.
He can earn that win. All right. Yeah. I want to return to the Matrix for hopefully 1, maybe 2 questions. First one being stories like this where I think the bad guy, well, first I'd like to know if you all agree with me. I think the bad guy in the Matrix is the most interesting character. Morpheus is a close second, but I really do think Agent Smith and the robots, even as a creature, kind of like plugging people in as computing batteries, that's just a fascinating part of the story and the narrative. And Agent Smith really drives a lot of the main parts of the storyline. And I think the performance by, oh my word, his name just leapt right out of my brain. Someone help me here. Hugo Weaving. The performance by Hugo Weaving really solidifies Agent Smith as an iconic villain and drives his character as like a huge presence in the story. So question being to you first, Matt, do you agree, or do you think I'm wrong? Is Agent Smith one of the most iconic parts of the movie, if not the? And 2, what do you think of stories where the villain is kind of the main driving force and the hero takes maybe plays a little second part to that main focus of
I would agree he's iconic in the sense that he's very memorable, and I think he inspired other things. I think the only hesitation I would have is that I never really get a sense of. I only get, or that's not any sense at all, but I only get the vaguest sense of what is really going on inside in his head. Like he's not a fully developed character.
Mm-hmm.
He's still more his attitude and way of speaking than he is a fully fleshed human, or a fully fleshed, not a fully fleshed human being, but a fully fleshed person. I think Cypher is closer to being my idea of a fully understandable villain, whereas but part of the point of Agent Smith is he's not supposed to be fully understandable. It's part of what makes him scary.
Yeah.
But there is some mystery there. But I generally find that it is more interesting to have a villain with some character. Like you can have you sometimes want the disposable villains or just cannon fodder for the hero to kill, but it's nice to have the big bad actually have motivations and reasons for what they do and some sort of psychology that makes them understandable, if not necessarily, you don't have to sympathize with them, and you can have truly horrible people, but charisma and just sort of some sense of depth is a nice thing if you can have it. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that a lot of real life, I had an interesting discussion with another author about this, Paul Lafarge, and I asked him, is there any character you would not be willing to write from their point of view? Is someone too wicked? And he said, not in terms of morality, but he just that when he reads about certain people, like certain, he mentioned some famous concentration camp commandant whose name escapes me, but he basically says if you read about this guy, you realize he wouldn't be interesting to get inside his head because there's nothing there. He's just not. He doesn't have the self-awareness to be an interesting character. He's just vapid and sociopathic, and so a lot of real life wicked people just aren't that interesting in and of themselves. So
that's really fascinating. And a follow-up question of like, do you have a favorite big bad that you've written, or one that like maybe was tough to write, but like you were satisfied with how it came out? Might be two questions.
I mean, not all of my novels really have big bads, but I would think that my favorite is probably in Lovecraft Country, Caleb Braithwaite. Who is the sort of lead white sorcerer, and he's sort of the kind of bad guy who cannot imagine that he's evil, and that he makes choices that clearly mark him as an evil person. He's the driver of everything bad and difficult that happens to the protagonist, but he thinks of himself as a perfectly reasonable guy, and that's part of what makes him so interesting. And there are other much more thuggish, sort of traditional clan type characters in Lovecraft Country who again, they're there in part because, first of all, there were a lot of people like that you might have to deal with if you went down the wrong road at that time. But but I think Braithwaite really makes the story more interesting. And what fascinates me is the number of, and it's always men who read the story and think Braithwaite's not that bad. They're like, well, what does he do? Does he really do anything that bad? And it's like, how long have you got? I can list. What it is he's very nicely, he's very well spoken. He never says, he never uses racial slurs, never says anything nasty. So he's polite and charismatic, and people mistake that for virtue in some way, which fascinates me. And that's sort of like, even though I know that like I was writing the character that way in expectation of that, it's just very weird to see that work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Readers who are just like, well, really, what's so terrible? Well, he's kind of sociopathic, really. So yeah, it's interesting. So he's probably my favorite of the villains I've written. I mean, although you could also make a case for Jane Charlotte, the protagonist, the sort of an anti-hero, the protagonist of Bad Monkeys, whose superpower is being able to tell you the most horrible things about herself in a way that makes you like her.
Yeah.
In some ways, she was an early study for Braithwaite, because it was just like, she'll tell you these horrible things she does. She kills people. She does this. She does that. And instead of recoiling the way you should, you kind of lean in and you're like, oh, really? And then what did you do? And she was a lot of fun to write. So
I love that. What you said about Braithwaite reminded me of a mentor of mine has a whole thing where he talks about with teaching, a mentor through teaching. One of his big things is like, being not bad isn't the same thing as being good. With kids, like you'll see kids that do all of the rules exactly how they're supposed to be, but they do it in this almost like a drone, just go through the motions way, and it's like that's not the same thing as a kid actually being like a good kid in the school realm. But like I think you see that a lot with interesting villains of like you can make a villain like you did that's polite and does the civil thing, but inside there's something more sinister going on, and I think that's really
it's scary how easy people are to manipulate.
Yeah. I have some protection from that just because I've been doing this. You know, when you're right, you learn how easy it is to get people to suspend disbelief, and you know when someone's trying to do it to you, but still, it's just wow.
Oh yeah. It really, in a weird way, reminds me of the people of Cricket from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, where they're just like really great, chill people to be around, but they do also want to destroy
everything.
Everything in the universe that isn't them. They just see the universe and like, well, that'll have to go.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're great, you know?
To the original question, Jeremy, do you think I'd be very interested to hear your answer about this for Hitchhiker's Guide of like, do you think some of the antagonists are the most interesting characters? It's hard to top 𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘤𝘳𝘓, or I pronounced that name wrong, but
Zayfid 𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘤𝘳𝘓.
It's hard to top.
He's arguably an antagonist some of the time, but like when you're thinking about like
he doesn't care enough to be an antagonist.
He doesn't care enough. He's like at worst not helping, you know. But like when you think about something like somebody like Agent Smith, and I feel like in a lot of fiction and works like that, you either get a protagonist who is like physically imposing and dangerous, or they're charismatic and like interesting to think about. And I find it endlessly fascinating that Agent Smith is very much both. Not only like in a one-on-one fight, 99 times out of 99.5 times he is going to kill you, but he is also like functionally immortal. So if you do manage to like kill him, he'll just pop up as the nearest homeless guy and finish the job. True. You know, and that is him and the other agents. They do pose a unique threat, and I do like him also that he has like this really vague goal that he's not super sure how to accomplish, of like getting out, which he explores a little bit in the later movies to essentially no avail. And like as an overarching thing, I think the robots outside of the context of this first movie are themselves really fascinating things. Like if you watch, say, the Animatrix and you know other supplemental materials, I did go all in. This was prior. I had already done it. It's fine. But you do learn that the robots made themselves look way less human because they were mistreated by humans, and that's why they decided to, you know, rebel, take over, and that's why they look like crazy squids with a million eyes and shit. It's what, and you know, I think the films and the supplemental materials present a lot more interesting, like, thought puzzles and philosophical questions that the movies themselves don't really.
Yeah.
Clay.
Yeah. I think the thing about it, really, I think you're right that the agent or Morpheus, in my opinion, Morpheus is more interesting than the agent. But either way, they're both more interesting than Neo, and that's intentional. Neo is he's your looking glass POV type character. He's your looking glass MC. He is the personification of the audience view. In many ways, you can see this as a good thing or a bad thing, but I think he is very much an interpretation of the way the Wachowskis see their own audience. Now, if you see Neo as a dimwit, then that maybe that's how they see you. I'm not sure.
I do say "whoa" like that all the time.
I know. But I feel like when you use that kind of main character who has literally been unplugged from the reality they know and dropped into the reality of the film as basically a newborn babe in Keanu Reeves' fully adult male body, you could see it as a price, you could see it as a consequence, however you want to see it, but it is the byproduct of using that kind of character that other characters in your film are more likely to be more interesting. Morpheus is already fully developed. Neo is developing before your eyes. So you are developing along with Neo basically at the same rate. That's a very useful story mechanic, but it doesn't make for the most interesting main character, at least in my opinion. I think it makes for very interesting side characters. It makes for stories where the setting is more what the story's about than the main character's journey. I don't think The Matrix is about Neo's journey. It's not really like this profound moment at the end of The Matrix where Neo learns something great and we are all like, whoa, I can't believe. Now I understand that on a deeper level. It's more like Matt said earlier, like we're expected to agree with Neo's final conclusion, but that's basically just what Morpheus and the rest of the Resistance taught him. He didn't really come to many of those conclusions on his own, and information was literally uploaded into his brain. So like he has very little agency as a character, and therefore is very uninteresting in my opinion. Morpheus
got kidnapped by a cult.
Yeah. He did. And that's fine. Like for him, I'm not saying he's a bad main character for the record. Like, I don't think that's a bad storytelling device. I just think every storytelling device, every main character type you choose is going to have a consequence and a price, right? It's going to have byproducts. And the byproduct of choosing that looking glass POV is that you are going to make your main character less interesting than some of your side characters and the setting and the villain in a lot of those cases. I don't know if you guys agree, Matt. I don't know what you think about that, but that's really what I think is at the heart of your question there, Travis. I do think it's a great question. That's just what I think is at the heart of it personally.
I think Matt too. I agree with you that I underestimate how good of a character Cypher is in this story.
Cypher is a great character.
Very interesting character.
Pretty much everyone's more interesting than Neo.
The chosen one. But okay, we are coming up on 2 hours. I have one more question for you, Matt, and this one's not really for everyone else, unless you want to chip in there and point at some of your favorites. But your board game shelf is very fascinating, and I would love to know some of your favorites.
Well, the thing you have to understand, though, is I was an only child, so when I played board games as a kid, it was more a narrative thing where I was playing all sides.
Nice.
And I was, which actually makes me terrible for actually playing board games, because when I play with other people, I don't know what they're going to do. Whereas when you play with yourself, you always do. So I'm actually more of a solo video game player these days. Hearthstone, and God help me, I've started playing Satisfactory. That can be a lifetime, profession.
Oh goodness.
And there was a period in my childhood where I worked for it was a war games company, long defunct now, called Simulations Publications Incorporated, SBI, that was in Manhattan, and I lived in Queens. And on Friday nights, they had open play tests. So I would take the subway, 12 years old, I would take the subway out to Manhattan on Friday nights. And the first, they mostly did like very realistic simulations, on hex paper with little cardboard counters of things like NATO Division Commander, or simulations of Gettysburg. But they also would do science fiction and fantasy titles. And the first game I ever worked on was called The Creature, the 𝘓𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘤𝘓𝘕, which was basically you would build Godzilla with, or some sort of monster, and you would rampage in this little city. And one player would be the monster, and one player would be the Wisconsin National Guard.
I love that.
Nice.
Perfect.
A fit combatant for Godzilla, if ever there was one.
That was a lot of fun growing up, getting to do that when I was a kid, and I have some great memories of doing that. So, and there was I'm kind of sad. There was back in the very early days of video gaming, there was a game called Crush, Crumble, and Chomp that you played on the TRS-80 or the Apple II, like the pre-Macintosh. It was like 64K of memory or something like that. And but it's basically, you build a monster and rampage, and but as a moving around individual moves and so forth. So it's not like a live action, more like you're thinking what you're doing. And I've always wished that somebody would do a modern version of that. I would love to see that, because it's a load of fun to just go nuts and set fire. And basically the goal of that game is it would end when they finally killed you, and they always did. But it was like, how many points can I rack up before they get me?
That's fun.
How much rampage damage can I do? That is fun.
And there is another version of my life where I became a video game designer or a game designer, and that's the kind of thing I would love to work on. So,
have you ever had a moment where that maybe like creeps into your fiction at all, or that like passion of?
Yeah, my second to last novel, 88 Names, is basically my attempt to turn all the time I've wasted playing video games into something I can make money off of. So it's a it's a novel. This guy, the protagonist's name is John Chu. He's a what do they call a Sherpa? Basically, it's like imagine if you're it's a few years in the future, and you've got VR versions of like World of Warcraft, but you have a life, so you don't have 200 hours to build up your 200, build up a palette.
Digital Sherpa to grind for you.
So you hire the Sherpa, and he provides you with a fully formed character, and people to come with you, and you go in and you go to the dungeon. He tells you what to do, and so anyway, he gets hired by this guy, who prefers to remain pseudonymous, but he begins to suspect that his new client is actually Kim Jong-un. And the conceit in 88 Names is basically that all of the first 2/3 of the novel take place entirely in virtual reality. So everyone that John Chu interacts with, including his coworkers and his friends, are people even his ex-girlfriend, are people he's never met in real life. So it's kind of like The Matrix in that there's a reality out there, but you are dealing with people who you only see what they choose to show you. And it's the tech is good enough that they've got instantaneous translation. Your voice, you can sound like anything, you can look like anything. So, you can try to research people, and sometimes you'll find, real life pictures of them, and you can say, okay, that person is kind of what I think they are, but you never really know. And so that was the conceit of the book, is like, how do you get along in a situation where everyone you're dealing with, friend or foe, is potentially a completely different person. And then the final third of the book, they actually come out and he finds out what's really going on. But, and that was, and it also, but part of the story is it gave me a chance to sort of create fictionalized versions of all these different online games. So, there's a pseudo World of Warcraft and a pseudo Eve and a pseudo, there's even one point where he goes into a text adventure with his clients. And so it's like literally, go west, go, take Lantern.
Take Lantern.
So it was a chance to sort of like use all this useless gaming lore I had from my life and put it into a story and have a lot of fun with it. So that I guess would be my Matrix. So if that sounds like something you want to see my take on the Matrix, 88 Names is what you would look for.
Hell yeah. I totally want to read that. That sounds awesome. Have you ever played Ancient Domains of Mystery, Matt?
It sounds familiar, but I don't recall it.
I think you should check it out. It's an excellent. It's just a 2D dungeon crawler roguelike, and it's insanely hard to beat, despite being like $4 on Steam. It took me like 3 years to beat that game, and it's just a classic. Like it's basically one-player D&D, but it's a true roguelike. So when your character dies, for the audience who may not know this, roguelike means if your character dies, it dies, and you have to start over the game.
I have it. I bought it on sale.
You have it already?
Yeah, yes. I have it already. It's one of those. It's one of those games. I'm blanking on the name now. There, Dungeons of Dreadmore.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever played that one? That is the sort of this. It is another roguelike, exactly, and it's just super goofy though. It's got you pick a bunch of different characteristics like Viking wizardry, or or there's one where you can be like Indiana Jones, or and so you pick like 7 different traits and build this really complex character, and then this sort of determines what your powers will be as you go further down the dungeon. So yeah, I love those games too. I really wish they would come out with one that had the really polished graphics, because they're all the kind of pixel art, because the people who do these are not, I'd love to know what a big studio version of that would look like. I think there would actually be a market for that.
Oh, there would for sure. Well, definitely, Matt. Please do play 𝘓𝘗. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's fucking amazing. And when you're gonna create, go ahead and wait till July 2nd. Okay, just mark this if you intend to play 𝘓𝘗 at all. Mark July 2nd in your calendar, because if you create a character on July 2nd, it will be granted one of the most powerful intrinsic traits in the game, which is Fate Smiles, and that just gives you a lucky ability. Like, you are more lucky, you find more gold, you find better artifacts and things like that, because July 2nd is the creator of the game's birthday, so it's Creator's Day. And if you create a character on July 2nd, it's born with Fate Smiles, which is a great. Also, if you play 𝘓𝘗, I'll give you another pro tip: don't ever kill a cat.
Kill every cat. Just
Thomas Biskup apparently loves cats, and if you kill a cat, eventually you will meet the cat lord. It's inevitable that you meet the cat lord in the game, and it's really hard to not kill a cat, because tigers and lions and mountain lions attack you throughout the game. But like, if you manage to meet the cat lord and not have killed a single cat, like by very late in the game, he gives you a very powerful ring that helps you win the game. So it's really fun. It's goofy as fuck, and there's all kinds of crazy shit, but it's an awesome game too. Like, you have to eat or you die. If you are over encumbered, you die. Like, it is really easy to die and stupidly hard. Like, when the first time I played it, I died really early so many times, I had no idea how far I had to go. But yeah, highly recommend. That's my answer to your question, Travis. 𝘓𝘗, Ancient Domains of Mystery. Is awesome.
Yeah, I said if you want to jump in there with a favorite video game, board game, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy, are you going to jump in there with one?
I think I will. And I will. Look, I will sort of table the discussion of Avatar Legends, which I haven't got a chance to play yet, because I need a group of people to play that with.
Yeah.
So,
we should play it on the show.
Yes, we should.
That'd be fun.
Agree. Dice, it's great. I assume. I actually have no idea. But I will say, Merchants and Marauders is probably the most fun I've ever had playing a board game that takes like 30 minutes to fully set up.
Sure.
It's
love that.
Incredible. And, it's pirates, it's boats, it's weather, it's complex political things, and if you're me, it's dying and being reborn as an even more badass pirate every single time. So if that's your jam, and you don't mind the full 30 minutes it takes to set up and the full 30 minutes it takes to put everything away, come on.
That's for you.
Let's go.
Get in there.
You know what's for us?
Go. No.
You know what's for us? What's for us is arbitrary rating systems.
Yeah, it is.
It's what we do here on this show. They mean nothing. And our rating system, Matt, and any new listeners, is what kind and how many substances of your choice does it take to fully enjoy the Matrix to the max? And we've had some varying answers. I'm going to not start this time because I just jumped us right into this rating system. Jeremy,
hey,
what do you think?
I think the what kind is fully up to you. The Matrix, of course, is about, freedom, ultimate freedom. So you pick the substance, uppers, downers, or sideways, whatever floats your boat. And you'll want to have enough of that you yourself feel like the chosen one, and that you're ready to, after watching several kung fu videos, become kung fu super Jesus and bring freedom to the world around you. The number is, of course, going to vary. I would say you'll want one for, you'll want to pound 3 before the opening credits roll, just to get you started, right?
Yeah.
Then, obviously, anytime it seems like somebody is referencing something, but they're not telling you what it is, you'll want another one. Okay. So I haven't done the math. I think it comes out to like 39 to 56 things, depending on how much philosophy you've studied in your life. So,
gotcha.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right. My answer is simple. Go out and get yourself a pre-roll joint if you like weed. If not, get yourself whatever equivalent will get you to like high. We're talking about the stoner at the party who thinks they've unlocked the universe's secrets. There's a meme I enjoy. It has a joint and it shows like this portion of the joint. It's like, man, nature's beautiful. And then the tiny little last segment of the joint, it says the raccoons work for the CIA. You need to get to the raccoons work for the CIA portion of the joint. Okay. So before the movie starts, just suck that whole thing down to raccoons work for the CIA until you start to believe that kind of thing, because you will be then in the right mindset to believe the Matrix is as smart as it thinks it is. And then you're really going to enjoy it because you're going to be like, you're going to think you get it. You're going to think it gets you. You're going to think the two of you get each other and that the rest of the world should just be turned off so that your version of justice can become the moral imperative for all of fucking society. And you're going to have to be pretty high to believe something as stupid as that. Now, just if you want to play on legendary mode, when Neo gets unplugged and goes on an involuntary water slide, go ahead and just shotgun a beer. And I recommend
additional beer is the legendary mode?
Yes, but that's because you're going to be shotgunning a hypernova by Ecliptic Brewing, which is 9.3% and comes exclusively in 16-ounce cans. So yeah, shotgun specifically a Hypernova triple IPA by Ecliptic Brewing because it was delicious, and I'm a little buzzed.
IPA.
Well,
it is very hard to shotgun.
Do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? Fucking, that's your choices.
Take both. End up purple.
Yeah, there we go. I will say you need to, in my estimation of this movie, which again, I did enjoy it. I associate freshman year philosophy student with it. And that's what you need to do. If you went to college and maybe you went to a party in college, whatever you did at that party your freshman year, that's what you need to do for this movie. So for me, it's a 24 pack of Twisted Tea. My gut's going to hurt the next day, but
Nice.
That's the system. Matt,
that is the perfect metric, the thing you get in college. that is the perfect metric for this. But I think in tribute to the white rabbit metaphor in the movie, I will recommend, yes, enough grams of magic mushrooms that it feels profound. Everything about it feels profound. And, you'll be awake. Unlike if you smoke enough dope, you might fall asleep on the couch before the end. The mushrooms will keep you up, and you'll really feel like something impressive is happening. So,
that bullet dodge is going to take a whole new meaning. Well, we got you on the mic. Can you let the audience know one more time who you are, where to find you, and anything else about yourself?
So, author Matt Ruff, you can find me. I'm on my website, www.bymatruff. That's BY as in a byline. And the reason it's that is because I didn't listen to my mother-in-law when she said getmattruff.com, because I said, how many other people could there be with that name? I don't need to hurry. And of course, in fact, there is a I think he's a Christian broadcaster who lives in Tennessee named Matt Ruff. He got mattruff.com, and sometimes he sends me email that is clearly meant for me. So he's a very nice guy, but he got there first. So I did the buy Matt Ruff. And you can read all about my novels, what I've written and what I'm working on. And I'm sorry if I mentioned what I'm working on twice. I did the deja vu thing without meaning to, but I've sort of been eating and breathing it for the last 6 months, and I got a few more months to go. So I'm really happy and enjoying it, and looking forward to being able to talk in more detail about it with people once it's done. So,
all right.
We're looking forward to that too, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and lending us your wisdom and your experience and your take on The Matrix. Thank you, Travis and Jeremy, for being the usual stooges with me here on Fermented Fiction. Thank you, Fermented folks, for tuning in and listening to us drunkenly babble about films and books and shows as we are wont to do every single week. We'll be back next week with another episode, as we always are. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out our Patreon. You can join our exclusive Discord, and you can help us make this show for money instead of for free. But if you don't do that, we'll still make it. You cannot stop us. We'll see you next week. Thanks again, Matt. It's been awesome having you on, man.
Thanks very much.
This
is fun.
It was a good time. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.